Hi everyone, my name is Joyce. Welcome to this episode. Today I will be talking about how to create the life that you want. I'm going to start with 3 steps this week, and then next week I'll give you another 3 steps. The journey is quite a long one, so you've got to be in it for the long haul. I think most of the times when you watch videos around manifestation, creating the life that you want, living your dream, and all of that, it's usually about just 3 steps, and this is how you do it. And then when you start, if you've tried it before, it's always quite a journey, isn't it? With my experience, I'm here to talk about how I've been able to do it, but more than that, just give you tips about how to really knuckle down and get cracking. So I'm going to be giving you 3 steps today, as I said, and next week I will give you a bit more. And the first thing I really think that we all need to do is to decide what it is that we want. And that's for most people, it's quite a challenge, because often we've been maybe brought up in a way where you don't really, that's not really part of your, DNA, thinking about what you want. It's always about what's most practical, what needs doing, and pretty much following a path that's been set for you, or what's really best for your family. That was certainly the case for me. It wasn't about I didn't even know that I could actually decide that I wanted something and really go for it. It was just so far removed from who I am, that it was just, it was a foreign concept. And it took me a little while just to really get into the idea and the rhythm that I can create what I want and actually really go for it, and for that to be really fulfilling, but more than that, to be acceptable to those people around me. So I think the first thing you need to do is know what you want. Really be very clear about what you think is possible, because I think you've got to start there. When you listen to a lot of maybe conversations or audios or podcasts about what you want, it's always about decide what you want and then go for it. But actually, there's a step before that where you have to unpack what that means for you. So you need to do a lot of self-reflection and clarity around what it is that I really want. What are my strengths? Where do I want to go for it? Who do I think I am? What are my values? What are my passion and aspirations? And that could be based on people that you admire, or your innate talent. Most of us are born with something that we're really good at, even though that may not be emphasized a lot, or you've maybe even forgotten about really prioritizing that. It's really important that you're clear about that. Really set some time aside to, whether you do that through journaling, get introspective about your self-assessment. Really get clear about what you want. No boundaries. Don't worry about whether it's possible or impossible. Just sit there and just write a list if journaling is new to you, or really just get your. And I always say, it's nice to be able to type and do it on computer, but I think being able to write something down does something to your psyche. So if you can do that, it's really important for you to do that. And take some time aside. It's not going to be in half an hour. It might take a week, it might take 2 weeks, but just be very clear about, what do I want to do? Where would I see myself? If I was going to describe the ideal life for me, what would it look like? What would I be doing? What kind of person is that? What values do that person hold? And really just flesh that out. And I think that's really the first step. Decide what it is that you want, but take the time and do the work to really unpack that within yourself. And I think the next thing is that you have to believe that you can do it. And that may take some time. It certainly took a lot of time for me. I had to do so many self-development courses. I had to surround myself with people that were really playing the game a lot higher than I was playing it. I needed to soak myself into that possibility to even just believe that it was possible for me to live the life that I imagined. So it takes some time. And I think that's why it's so important for you to start with the little things, right? Once you've done your list, once you've kind of fleshed out your possibilities, then start thinking about, okay, what one thing for some people, they can, do 20 things at the same time. That's not me. It may be you, it may not be you. So start where you are, know yourself, right? So decide what it is that you want to go for. Maybe 3 things this year, or maybe 2 things this year. It doesn't have to be massive, because again, it depends on where you are in life and where you're starting. Some of you might have been doing it for a long time and you know how to, you know the flow. Some people might be quite new to this. So start where you are, decide what it is that you want, and then believe that it's possible for you. Because without belief, it's just going to be a lot of hard work for you to achieve it. It doesn't mean it's impossible. It just means it's going to take some time. I'll give you an example. I think it's probably around 2002 when I just started this idea of creating your own reality. Just kind of started, I started hearing this word and I was thinking, okay, what's that? What does that mean? And then I went to a conference in 2004, this chap was talking about how you can really create your life, but you've got to believe it. And, I couldn't really sort of put that in, perspective for me. But then I looked at how, I went to, college, university, and then I did my master's. All of that was based on the fact that I knew that I could graduate, that I knew I could study. And even those moments where I knew it was impossible for me, I just believed that I could do it. Sometimes it took a lot of, going back again and, reevaluating and resetting my goals and going for it. But the essence of it is I believe that I could do it. And I think for you, that's where you've got to start at. It might be something really small, like going for, when I mean small, I don't mean to minimize it. It might just mean a job that you didn't think you could ever have. But just the idea that you're already doing a job means that the possibilities is there. You might need to upskill yourself. You might need to, have conversations with your managers in terms of your personal development plan. But you have to also believe that you can do it. And once you start believing that you can do it, that is the most clear vision that you can have for your own life. Once you have that clarity, break it down into actionable goals. So again, going back to that example about, having a job or going for a role that you don't think you can do it. What can get you there? What steps do you need? Do you need to be better at communicating? Do you need to be better at delegating? Do you need to be better at, writing reports? What it is for you that you need to be able to improve to get there? Because that is what is going to really, excuse me, that is what is really going to put it down into possibilities for you. Because unless you're there, unless you know what you need to do to get there and actually doing something about it, that's the only way you can get there. And also in terms of, your own confidence is built, especially for yourself, by you doing what you say you do to yourself. So once you set up those actionable goals, whether it's about going on a course, whether, as I said earlier, learning to delegate, learning to do reports, how are you going to get there? What are you going to do? What are your short-term goals? How are you going to get there? And make sure, this is one thing that we don't often talk about, is that they align with the values that you have for yourself, especially around money. If you believe, especially if you've been brought up in church or a religious setting, that money is the root of all evil, wanting money is going to really be in conflict with what your values are. So the first step you've got to do again in that scenario is go back and reevaluate your values. Unpack this idea of, money. Do you believe that money is bad? What are the good things that money can bring in your life? And really work on unpacking that blueprint, because until you can unpack that blueprint, you'll always have this sort of like a glass ceiling where, you work hard, you get to a place, and then you don't really break through. And that was certainly for me because of the beliefs that I had around, money. And I had to really change that because, money is good. It's a tool for you to be able to do what you want to do with your life. So it takes some work in terms of creating, a really detailed action plan that aligns with your values and, really makes you kind of almost start climbing that ladder, if you like. And I think the other thing I would do as well is constantly look at that plan that I have for myself, that belief. So What is it that I believe I can do? And really go back to it every single, if you could do it every night, that would be really great. If you could do it every week, then that's fine. But you must do it at least once a month. You need to go back to that list, really infuse yourself with the possibilities. And for some people, it might be having, affirmations, but we can talk about that a little bit later. Affirmations are really good in terms of making, recreating that blueprint for yourself. And before you can achieve those things, for example, the example about money, you've got to really affirm the goodness of having money in your life. So that might take you, the first 3 months that you're really just affirming about, money is good, money, helps me get to where I need to be. Money is a tool, money is energy, because it's, money is just, a piece of paper, isn't it? Or copper, depending on, where you are and how you use it. But in terms of how you use it, because you are the one that takes on that energy, that's how it becomes. It can be used for good or evil. And so the other thing I would say, the last thing I would say is, take action. Take action into those things that you desire. As I said, the example about money, affirmations are the actions that you're taking in terms of self-belief. So really, consistent action is absolutely crucial in terms of you turning your vision into reality. Break down your action plan, make it into smaller actionable tasks, and then prioritize them every single day. So for example, you wanted to create more money. Let's not forget that. You wanted a job around, we wanted a management position, but you felt that your communication, particularly when you get to people who are senior, is a little bit tricky, and you're unable to communicate the way you would want to be, or somebody in that position will be able to do. Or it could be negotiation. So your next step would be, what course can I take that will help me become more fluid and more fluent in my communication? Have a plan for that, and then start working on that plan. Because unless you do that, it will remain a dream, and dreaming is nice, but you've got to be able to do something with those dreams. And so, part of that will be to stay disciplined. So once you've decided what it is that you want to be able to communicate better, like, this person or that a manager in my position is able to do. Then take a course, that might include investing some funds in it. It might include some time, because there are free courses that you can do, especially now with the internet. So many courses that you could do. How can then you got to make the time to be able to do that. And that time has to be included in your daily activities, otherwise it's still going to be something that is so far away, or something that is unachievable that you will never get to. So stay disciplined and stay committed to be able to execute those plans that you have for yourself. And you know what? It's going to be rough, right? It's going to be hard, because you're doing something that you've possibly never done before. So you've got to be able to embrace the challenges that come with it. I remember when I first started doing a business course, I was never really good at maths. Also, I believed I wasn't. And so whenever we were doing something to do with accounting, it was just such a challenge for me, because I already had this mental block. But I stuck with it. One of the things that I did is one of my friends was actually on the course, and she was really good at, all of that accounting stuff and the Excel stuff. And she invested some time in me in every week to be able to kind of just explain things to me that I didn't really get. And of course, I also was open to being able to learn and to get past that barrier that I cannot do it. And you know what? I passed the course. Barely passed the course, particularly the accounting stuff, but I did it, because I was persistent and I was willing to learn and grow. And those are the things you've got to continually seek to do. If you're wanting to improve and you're wanting to develop those skills, it takes time. You need to be able to be persistent. And you need to also solicit the help that you need to be able to do that. And you have to surround yourself, because, you have to surround yourself with a supportive network, with people who, are where you need to be. And again, I keep saying this, it's not about having physical people. It could be in books. It could be in an audio, it could be on a YouTube video, it could be whatever it is. Make sure that you're surrounding yourself with people that are really, where you need to be. I've heard this example said before, when you're, all the number ones in the world, for example, within tennis, play each other, because they're at that level where they can challenge each other. So a number one, for example, playing a number 300 is an easy win, right? It's not challenging for them. For the 300, of course, it's challenging, right? But for the one who's number one, it's an easy win. So it depends on where you are in life, whether you're at 300 or you're number one. Choose your opponent carefully. Choose your network carefully. Choose your surroundings carefully. And you know what? And just keep at it. One of the things that I've been able to do in life is not because I've been good at it, although, I am good at some things. It's only because I've been persistent. I've just kept going. I've stayed disciplined. I've developed myself. I refuse to give up. And if there's one thing I will encourage you to do, is to never, ever give up on yourself. No matter what you've been told before, no matter what you've had before, you have more to give. There is more to you, but that requires a strength, that requires discipline, that requires vision, and that requires sticking with it. So I hope this has been really helpful to you. Next week, I'll build on a few more steps in terms of how you can create the life that you do desire and want, because all things are possible if you believe. It all hinges on you. Have an amazing week and spread kindness. Take good care.